right, Nation. It is day 8 of the Fit 10 Challenge. And listen, we just wrapped up a great class. And thank you for everybody who came out. Some of you are missing. I know that you said you were going to come. You didn't come, so hopefully everything is okay. It's really important, especially if you're new, to come out to these classes and really hone in on how to do these movements, okay? We want to master these movements. All right, listen. I have to get into these questions because there are a lot. So I'm going to try to keep this video as short as possible. We're going to try to keep it under 6 minutes. All right, that's the goal here. All right, so listen. Question. I'm going from the very first question that was asked to me and up. Okay, so if you just submitted your question, be patient, please. All right, so it's getting a bit hard to prepare my meals. I need to learn more about weight in foods and adding it to the app. I also have many choices. I'm allergic to nuts and greens, basically everything green, veggies and fruits. And eating meat is a bit of a challenge. I'm not a vegetarian or anything. It's just a matter of getting used to it. I'm still trying my best to add them into my meals regardless. Hoping for the best. Okay, so listen, you've heard me say this before. You don't have to have meat in every meal. In fact, you can have, I think 2 shakes a day is totally fine. And I have 2 shakes a day. In fact, sometimes I have 3, in fact. I have one after I work out, and that's usually just protein powder, sometimes with a bit of fruit, but sometimes not. But I do 2 in the day, and I typically do this with a vegetarian-based protein powder. And I add in real food to that, like I add in broccoli, and I add in walnuts or almonds, and I add Greek yogurt and cashew milk. So it's not like I'm just having powder for that meal. I'm having like a conglomerate of, it's pretty much all real food. Okay, so that's what I would encourage you to do. Okay, I also have a meal of eggs and cottage cheese typically. So I only have 1 meal of actual meat. I usually have 1 meal of salmon, right? So the 3, I try to get my 3 power proteins in per day, and that's whole eggs, salmon, wild salmon, and then some sort of wild red meat. Okay. As for allergies, you can't eat nuts. Okay, that's fine. That's a fat source. There are many other fat sources you can have. Avocado and various oils that are out there, coconut oil, whole eggs, especially free-range eggs. Those are high in omega-3 fatty acids. They're not pure saturated fat. And your greens, well, I do want you to get your greens, but if you're allergic, you're allergic. There's nothing you can do about that. But there's all kinds of sources of carbohydrates, okay? So when it comes to things like veggies and fruits, those are carbohydrates primarily. You can get carbs from other sources, okay? And I'm sure there's probably some types of vegetables and some types of fruits you can have. This is the great thing about this challenge. You can eat a full spectrum of food, okay? The only place where it gets really hard is if you're vegan, and I've had many vegans do this challenge, but it gets much harder because if you're a true vegan, then 95% of the protein sources are cut out of the protein strong sources, so it becomes very, very difficult. All right, so that's the only one that would be maybe challenging to this this type of program. Okay, did I get to everything here? Yeah, listen, learning about weight and food, it's going to take some time to get used to, but generally speaking, you'll see some commonalities. Like, for example, with poultry, fish, and meats, typically every ounce of those has anywhere from about 5 to 8 grams of protein per ounce, depending on whether it's raw or cooked, of course. Okay, so you're going to see some common things out there. Things like rice, depending on whether it's brown or white, you're going to get about 40 grams of carbs per cup. Okay, if it's brown rice, it'll be more like 30. You'll get used to things like this, okay? An average sized banana's got 22, 23 grams of carbs. Okay, a good source of Greek yogurt will typically have 1 gram of protein for every 10 grams of yogurt. These are things that I know this just because I've gotten used to food, okay? And this is what I want you to get used to, okay? But most importantly, it's building an awareness of food. That's the most important thing. It's you at the end of this challenge being able to sit down, look at a meal and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm getting some protein here. Okay, this has got some carbs. Oh, I know this has got a little bit of fat in it too. You know, you become really well in tuned with all your food, or with at least most foods. There's still foods I have to look up, things I don't typically eat. Okay, if you're not sure, sometimes there's some errors in the app, the MyFitnessPal app. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes people enter things incorrectly. If you're ever not sure, you can always use that resource I sent you, that link, that database link that has, it's got over, I think it's just, or nearly 250,000 food entries, okay? And you can just search the database, put the food in, just hit, search and you'll find it, okay? Shouldn't take you that long, and of course, once you know, you know. All right, okay, one question, all right? It was a long question though. Message of the day. I mentioned this yesterday on my social media, and listen, it's applicable to life in general, but one thing I want you to remind yourself of, because typically when things come up in your life that are challenging, you're gonna forget, or you're going to throw down the list in terms of other priorities that you may not think are a priority in your life, right? Like exercise and diet. Okay, so listen, the future can be much better, and you have the power to make it so. All right, the future can always be much better, and remember, you have the power to make that so. You do. We have a lot more power, we have a lot more choice, freedom of choice, and we have a lot more control than maybe perhaps we believe. All right, so keep that in mind always. Think positive, change your perspective, and you're gonna have ups and downs. We all do. There's gonna be ups and downs in this challenge, right? So, but you gotta keep forging ahead, all right? The future can be much better, and you have the power to make it so. Yes, you do. All right? Okay, you guys. Okay, 7 minutes. I gotta wrap this video up. Listen, you gotta submit, you gotta commit, you gotta just, you gotta jump in the water and you gotta just swim like mad, because that's what this challenge takes. You can't just dip your feet in, okay? You've got to tackle this challenge. You got to tackle it with everything you got. Embrace it. Don't fight it. Submit, commit. All right, you guys, we'll talk to you soon. See you guys tomorrow. Come out to the workouts. Do it. You got to do it.